Most people think of energy as something you either have or you don't have. You wake up energized or exhausted. You drink coffee to get more energy. You take supplements to boost your energy. But what if low energy isn't primarily an energy production problem? What if it's an actual flow problem? So this is a diagram called the human battery, and it shows the similarities to how our body works, creating and maintaining gradients to a regular normal battery that we use in our electronics. It represents a different way of thinking about health. And the central idea is simple. Your body is not just creating energy. It's creating it, delivering it, conducting it, and using it. And if any parts of that process breaks, the entire system suffers. So before we talk about biology, let's talk about batteries. Most people think a battery is simply a container filled with energy. But that's not actually how batteries work. A battery works because it maintains a separation. One side has a surplus of charge, and the other side has a deficit. As long as that difference exists, current can flow. And when current flows through a circuit, useful work gets done. A light turns on, a motor spins, a computer runs. So the battery isn't just valuable because of the chemicals inside of it. The battery is valuable because it maintains a gradient, a difference, and a separation. And when that gradient collapses, the battery is dead. And in a similar way, life runs on gradients as well. And life works remarkably similar to a battery. Your body is full of gradients. Electrical gradients, chemical gradients, oxygen gradients, pressure gradients, proton gradients. In fact, many scientists would argue that life itself depends on maintaining these organized differences. And the moment those gradients disappear, function starts to disappear. The body becomes less organized, less resilient, less energetic. Now let's walk through the circuit. And the first step is mitochondrial production. These are your cellular power plants. Most people have heard that mitochondria produce ATP. And that's true, but ATP is only part of the story. What mitochondria are really doing is creating a gradient. So inside every mitochondrion is a membrane. Electrons move through something we call the electron transport chain, or ETC. As those electrons move, protons are pumped across a membrane. That creates a difference between one side and the other. A gradient, a tiny biological battery. And only after that gradient exists can ATP be produced. So in reality, first comes the gradient, then comes the ATP. And it's not the other way around. The next step is circulation. Blood flow is the delivery system. Think of it like roads and highways. You can have plenty of fuel in a city, but if the roads are blocked, supplies never reach where they're needed. And the same thing happens in the body. Then we have electrical conductivity. This is really the part that people never really think about. Life is fundamentally, your heart beats electrically, your nerves communicate electrically, your muscles contract electrically. Even mitochondria depend on electron movement. The entire system is electrical from top to bottom. And finally, energy has to be used. Energy is only valuable if it performs useful work. Repair, movement, adaptation, healing, thinking, and everything you experience depends on energy being converted into action. I think this might be the most important section of the diagram, is the create, deliver, conduct, and use. Most health discussions focus entirely on the first box. How do we create more energy? How do we boost ATP? How do we improve mitochondria? And those are important questions, but they aren't the whole picture. If delivery is impaired, energy suffers. If conductivity is impaired, energy suffers. If utilization is impaired, energy suffers. Every part of the circuit matters. Now, where does CO2 fit into all of this? And this is really where it becomes very interesting. Most people think of CO2 as simply a waste gas, something the body is trying to get rid of. But CO2 actually plays a number of critical regulatory roles. And one of these roles is blood flow. CO2 helps regulate circulation. When CO2 rises appropriately, blood vessels tend to dilate. Blood flow improves, more oxygen arrives, more nutrients are delivered, waste products leave more efficiently, and overall the terrain improves. CO2 also helps oxygen unload from hemoglobin. A lot of people focus not entirely on oxygen, but oxygen isn't useful if it remains stuck to hemoglobin. It needs to actually reach the tissues. It needs to reach the mitochondria. So CO2 helps facilitate that process and is necessary for it to happen. But I think the deeper idea is that CO2 helps maintain the conditions that allow gradients to function properly. It helps regulate pH, it helps regulate circulation, it helps regulate oxygen delivery, it helps stabilize the environment where energy production. In that sense, CO2 isn't the electricity, it's one of the things that helps keep the battery charged. And now let's talk about what happens when the circuit weakens. You have poor oxygen delivery, restricted flow, mitochondrial dysfunction, electrical disruption, inflammation, and stress. And most people experience these as separate problems. But more often than not, they are different expressions of the same underlying issue. The system is losing organization. The gradients are becoming weaker. The battery is losing charge. And this is where fatigue appears. Brain fog, poor recovery, low resilience. So the symptoms aren't the root problem. The symptom is what happens when the circuit can no longer support the demands that are being placed upon it. So how do we strengthen the circuit? We support things that maintain structure. Breathing well, moving regularly, eating nutrient-dense foods, sleeping deeply, managing stress, supporting circulation, supporting hydration, supporting minerals, supporting light exposure. And all of these influence the body's ability to maintain gradients and keep energy flowing. And when the circuit improves, something interesting happens. Energy improves, focus improves, faster recovery, higher performance, resilience improves. Notice these are not separate goals. They're all downstream consequences of the same thing, essentially. A healthier, more organized energy system. So the biggest idea I want you to take away from this diagram is that health is not simply about producing more energy. Health is about maintaining the structure that allows energy to exist in the first place. A battery works because it maintains a gradient. A cell works because it maintains a gradient. A mitochondrion works because it also maintains a gradient. And many of the body's regulatory systems include carbon dioxide physiology, maintain those gradients. So energy isn't just created, it's created, delivered, it's conducted, and it's used. And when all of those systems work together, what we experience is vitality, resilience, performance, and health. A strong circuit creates a strong you.